Welcome to our special show, Medically Speaking. Here we have Dr. Pramod Garg. He is a professor of gastroenterology at the All India Institute of Medical Science, and he's also the director of Translational Health Science and Technology Institute. Thank you, sir, for joining us. As far as your study regarding Omicron is concerned, if you could just shed some insight into it, if you could elaborate what you have found as far as Omicron is concerned, especially when we speak about the transmissibility of the variant and its ability to evade the immunity which we have got via vaccines or perhaps even previous infections.
Thank you for asking me to join. So, with regard to our study, let me clarify, it is still in preprint. It has not been peer-reviewed or it is not published in a journal.
Yeah.
So the study actually pertains to the ability of the plasma taken from people who have been vaccinated and those who have been vaccinated or have had infection in the past two waves. So we wanted to check whether the antibodies which are induced either by the vaccine or by the natural infection, can they neutralize the Omicron variant or not? Now, you must understand the reason for that. The reason is that Omicron variant, as most of us know, has many changes in its genetic structure, what we call as mutations. So once the virus has multiple mutations, you find that the antibodies which have been generated against the original virus or through the antibody vaccines may not bind very well to the changed structure of the virus. And that is what we did in this laboratory study. This is a laboratory study to find out if the antibodies can neutralize it well or not. And we found that the neutralization against this variant, the Omicron, is much less than what was seen with the original virus or even with the Delta virus.
Right, but sir, as far as the immunity which one gets from a previous infection, was the variant able to overcome that immunity as well? And what about booster shots? Do they provide adequate protection against the variant? What did you find in your study?
No, we can't answer from this study. So we'll have to wait for the data to come in to find out if people who have been previously infected either with the original virus or with the Delta virus are able to, prevent infection or are protected from Omicron. I think the next 1 month or so will tell us more about that. Clinical studies are in progress, and we'll soon find out whether they're protected or not. My feeling is that people who have been infected earlier should be protected compared to those who have not been infected, as was seen during the Delta infection also.
And what about those, sir, who perhaps have got booster shots? That, of course, drive is not started in India, but were you able to include any of that in your sample study?
No, because none of the people in India have got boosters. So boosters will start from 10th in a particular subgroup of patients only.
Right. But sir, since your study finds that the variant is very easily able to overcome the immunity which is provided to us by vaccines, what do you suggest should be the way going ahead?
So first of all, let us understand that antibodies generated by the vaccines is not the only protective mechanism.
Correct.
So just consider the scenario before January 2021 when the vaccines were not available. So even during the first wave, 80% of people actually had mild infections. And a large majority of people were exposed to the virus, but they never developed symptoms. That means our body has inherent ability to fight the infection, to fight the virus infection. And that is why I just don't place too much emphasis on antibodies alone.
Okay.
I think this is very important for people to understand. Everybody talks about antibodies.
Antibodies, yeah.
So that's not the only thing. So we have shown in another study, which was actually published in the Lancet Infectious Disease Journal earlier, that your cellular immune responses, the T cell responses, are very important to fight the infection. It reduces infection and also reduces, more importantly, the severity of the disease. So there are multiple mechanisms by which the body is able to prevent the infection and also reduce the severity of disease.
Right, but sir, focusing particularly on your study, tell us a little bit about, the sample size which was included. You say it is yet to be peer reviewed, but take us through really, the time when the study was included, the sample size, the age groups who were included in it, and finally, for the benefit of the layman, what was your final conclusion from the study, sir?
So we included mainly people who have been vaccinated more than 6 months ago. That's important. So because right now we are in a stage that many of the people in our country have been vaccinated 6 months back. So we wanted to see whether those who have been vaccinated 6 months earlier or longer are able to neutralize it or not. And the age of patients was mainly, they were above the age of 60 years. And the mean age was about 58 years. So in these people, this group is considered somewhat more vulnerable, 60 or above, and having had vaccination about 6 months before, in them we tested and we found that the ability of the plasma antibodies was less against the Omicron.
So you found that the plasma antibodies were less against Omicron. Does it differ, sir? You say, when you speak of above 60, does it differ really when you say, with age, with comorbidities? Did you find any, correlation there?
No, we haven't tested that. So, but most likely it depends. The neutralization depends on the antibody levels.
Okay.
So what we found in this study that the antibody levels in those of around 60 years of age and more than 6 months after the infection and after vaccination was fairly high. So that is one important thing that we have shown in this paper. So even in this group, the antibody levels after 6 or 7 months still quite high.
Right.
So that's a very positive thing.
So, you said the antibody levels were quite high post 6 months also, but we of course have a huge discussion going on about the booster shot because many, especially in America, who are getting or who have already gotten their boosters have started believing, that the immunity provided by vaccines, the antibodies which it creates starts to wane in 6 months and a booster is needed in 6 months. So what, according to you, would be the time frame in which you would recommend a booster, not just for those who are above 60, but perhaps for others as well?
So as I said earlier that, antibodies alone really is not the only thing which protects you from the infection. And I tell you that the most important precautions still remain masks and washing your hands and distancing. These are very important parameters and measures to prevent infection. So let's not forget that. Now, when it comes to boosting, the government of India has already allowed boosting for the most vulnerable, those who are more than 60 years, having comorbid conditions and have had vaccines earlier. So this is the most important group where we really want to make sure that they're protected better. So I think we need more data in the coming weeks and months, whether boosting other groups is really required or not.
Okay, you say that you're even skeptical. If I've understood you correctly, you're saying you're even skeptical whether boosting is even required or perhaps it's even needed because, most of us, or have I misinterpreted it?
No, don't take me wrong, sir. So boosting might help those who have lower antibodies by jacking up the antibodies.
All right.
And jacking up the antibodies will also be helpful to some extent. But I'm saying this is not the only mechanism. So somebody who doesn't have antibodies or has lower antibodies or has not got a booster shouldn't be scared. So right now everybody thinks I should get a booster. I'm scared. So that's not the point.
All right, point taken, sir, point taken, and thanks for the clarification. Since we speak of the rising cases of COVID, just a minute before you were live with us, sir, the latest data from Delhi has come in. We have 20,000 cases in a day. The positivity rate is at 19%. Since, more and more studies are now finding how this variant is able to evade and overcome the immunity which is provided to us by vaccines, what do you think, could happen in the coming days? And do you think that our healthcare is prepared to take on the so-called tsunami of Omicron, which seems to be hitting us as we speak, literally?
So I agree with you that right now the cases are rising alarmingly, and that is what the models are predicting.
Yes.
Various models are predicting that cases will rise in the coming weeks and may peak after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on which model you refer to. So it may peak after 10 days or maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And until such time, the cases will rise. There's no doubt about that. This has been the experience in India, and obviously it has been the experience the world over. But I think the health infrastructure in our country is fairly well geared and up to the mark to tackle this situation. Fortunately,
no, I'm interrupting you here, sir, but do you not think that we are very highly dependent on the mildness of the cases? Because one argument which we hear from almost every second medical expert is that the silver lining is that the cases are mild and the hospitalization are low. But even if you take a minuscule percentage of those infected, if they start getting hospitalized, isn't there a real chance of our hospital systems getting overwhelmed?
So yes and no. So
Okay.
as you said, most cases are mild, and that's an important point.
Correct.
And it's obviously a numbers game. When you hit about say 20,000 a day, even if 1% require admission, so you are talking about say 200 people coming into hospital, and the average stay, if it is 5 days, gradually the numbers will increase. But I think the overall, after the second wave, the overall infrastructure has really been jacked up, and I think all over the country, we are well positioned to tackle a large number of patients who might require admission, although my guess is that they won't. You won't have those numbers that we saw during the Delta wave.
Right, and also, sir, since you're telling us a little bit about this study which you have conducted, tell us more about HISTI as well, the organization which you're affiliated with, and all the work you are doing, all the research work which you are doing as far as this new variant and perhaps this whole very difficult phase for the country of coronavirus is concerned, sir.
Thank you. So, Translational Health Science and Technology Institute, where I am currently on deputation, is a autonomous institution under the Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology. And this institution is a unique institution in the sense that it carries out both basic science as well as translational science and clinical research. And that is why we have been able to, do a lot of studies with regard to corona as well. We have created cohorts. We have patients, we have people with vaccination alone, and we are doing all kinds of lab studies. For example, the study that you referred to, where we have looked at the neutralization, is a purely lab study, which can be done only in institution like THSTI, which has a very high-tech BSL-3 lab. We also have a large biorepository where we have blood and samples from different patients with corona disease, and also from those who have been vaccinated. In addition, let me tell you that many vaccines-related work has been carried out at THSTI, including the latest BioE vaccine. The entire laboratory work was carried out in THSTI. So we have supported many vaccines, BioE, Zydus-Covid, and Sputnik. So, and also we have developed kits for detecting the antibodies against corona.
Right, and sir, before I let you go, last question. As far as the treatment protocol is concerned, there's a lot of confusion around it. We all know, in the last phase, we had plasma therapy, we had Faviflu, all of them rejected. This time we have Molnupiravir. Again, regarding that, there are a lot of safety concerns. Monoclonal antibody, Bengal has rejected. Some states have it, some states don't. Do you think, as we conclude, that there is a time that we get some central guidelines as far as COVID and rather Omicron treatment protocol is concerned, or is it this time around also, do you think, will we see a hit and trial?
So I would say that this is, first of all, this is a very important question. More important in the treatment protocol is what not to do. So we know what to do now. And there are guidelines already issued by ICMR and AIMS and government, which says what to do when you have corona infection. First of all, don't do too many things. And this myth of jacking up your immunity by taking this or that has to be broken. So the treatment in corona is very simple. You only have to give symptomatic treatment. Only those who develop moderate to severe disease, and that can be judged by, say, their oxygen saturation or their, having breathlessness, that they need hospitalization. And where there is today a standardized treatment which is available. So I think more important for people who are at home, who are in isolation, who have mild disease, is to understand what not to do.
All right, sir. Thank you for joining us on NewsX.
And we have a lot of clarity on this now.
Well, absolutely, sir. And we really hope that the cases remain mild, and all of us, of course, those who have infected at least remain in home isolation. And thank you for joining us and leaving us, of course, with that message for the larger public. And another message, of course, for all of us who are watching the telecast from home is to mask up. We have a very special video which we'd like to play out, and then we'll go to Dr. PSV Rao, who has a very special message regarding the significance and importance of the N95 mask. Let's listen to that video, and then we'll go to Dr. Rao. All right, so that, of course, is a video which is playing right next to us. Dr. PSV Rao is also live with us. Dr. Rao, help us understand a little bit about the significance of N95 masks. We know that there are many reports coming in which are even talking about Omicron being airborne. The rate at which it's increasing is very, very alarming. How can wearing N95 masks, especially these masks, protect us, sir? Over to you.
This video shows very clearly how airborne infections spread from one human being to another. It's not just specific to corona, it is also effective, applies to other airborne infections like the influenza, common cold, etc. You see in this how if you have various partitions, etc., it helps. But the most important the most important thing for us is to use an N95 mask. The N95 is an American standard. It indicates that 95% of 2.5 micron particles will not go through it. This was originally designed and made for air pollution, to keep dust out, and hence initially had an exit valve. Now that exit valve is not used when we are using it for the pandemic and for these medical purposes. Now, important thing is there's no point wearing a mask like this, like many people do, hanging below the chin. Nor is it any point keeping it like this, because the virus will both go in and go out through your nose. You have to put it fully like this, and if it is loose, then air will go out not through the mask, but it will go on the sides, it will go on the top, it will go on below. So you should use the nose clip which the N95 mask has to tightly fit it here, pull the strands and tighten it so that it is tight fitting all around your face. And of course, for children, there are smaller size N95 masks. You know someone's mask is well fitted when he breathes. You see this, the mask movement, it moves in and out. So this, if someone's mask is moving like that, you know very well that he or she has properly fitted the mask. Now, irrespective of which airborne virus it is, irrespective of which variant of concern it is, an N95 mask radically reduces the number of viruses you are going to be exposed. It is not that it's going to cut out every virus, but it's going to cut out most of it. The reason is the virus itself is very small, it is in microns, but the virus doesn't go alone. It goes inside a droplet. And most of these droplets are big enough for this mask to keep it out. Now, even the small amount of virus that does get through it, your immune system will be able to take care of it. Whereas if you don't have the mask, the number of viruses may be so much that your immune system, even if you have the best immune system in the world, will not be able to manage because it will be just overwhelmed. So the importance of the mask.
So, sir, you're speaking of N95 mask. Help us understand really the difference between cloth mask, N95 mask, and of course the designer mask also, which people are wearing these days. Which one would you suggest is the best and why?
See, the surgical mask has 3 layers of material in it, and it has been designed to prevent us surgeons, I'm a surgeon, and from us surgeons infecting the wound of the patient whom we are operating on. It is not designed to cut out so many viruses. And definitely the cloth mask, etc., is better than nothing, but it's definitely not good enough because it will allow so many viruses to go through that you may be overwhelmed. This N95 is an American standard. There is the European standard masks which are called FFP2. You have got various other nations which have put on their own standards. The China, Japan, Korea, they all have their own standards, but they are all equivalent to the same US standard. So the N95 mask, which is easily available nowadays all over India, I would request everyone to use it. It not only helps you to keep out the various variants of this virus, irrespective of what it is, Delta, Omicron, whatever it is. It also keeps out other infections like influenza, common cold, etc., which is very common now. It also keeps out dust. It keeps out allergens. It is going to help a lot of people with various allergies and exposed to dust and air pollution.
Right.
It also has one other useful thing. It helps you like a breathing exercise. So I would really encourage everyone to use this whenever they are out of home, whenever they are exposed. And if you are going to eat outside,
Okay.
don't be in a crowd. Stay away from people, because then you will have to remove the mask to eat. A lot of people will go eat into crowded eateries, crowded places, public transport, and then be trying to eat.
So what about
Please don't
gloves,
do
sir?
that.
Should people also wear gloves with these masks? Last question to you, sir, as you sign off. What would you say on that regard?
Gloves is not that important unless you touch the mask. Don't. As far as the eyes are concerned, you could use glasses or you could use goggles if you can't use the face mask. But this is the most important, because this is where the virus enters. The virus doesn't enter through your skin. Now,
Well,
if your
absolutely.
hands get contaminated, as long as you don't touch your nose and mouth or eyes, it is fine. And the mask actually prevents you from touching your nose and mouth.
Yeah. All
And
right,
if you
sir.
have goggles on.
Point taken, point taken. Mask up, wear your masks every time you step out. You're seeing me without a mask because I am alone in the studio with the cameraman at a much, at much more than 6 feet distance, which is recommended. But at the same time, yes, if you do step out of your house, mask up. An N96 mask, as of course told by our expert, is the best option available. Thank you, PSP Rao, for joining us with that public awareness message, and thank you to all the viewers for watching our show.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.